What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to do something a little different, and I wanted to react in real time to this interview because I've seen clips of it, and I'm just like, this woman, I mean, I know she's I know she's insane. I think we all on this planet know that she's insane, but she just gets more and more insane. Like, she is somebody that I really truly wish would never do any interviews because she drives me nuts with how just out there she is. But nonetheless, you guys, this is Lori Vallow-Daybell speaking with Nate Eaton from Behind Bars. This is her most recent Behind Bars interview. Let's get into it.
Hi, Lori.
First off,
Lori?
Why is she so damn put together? She's in jail or prison? I don't know, because she's like, let me look this up, because she's got so many fucking trials. So when you're going through a trial, you stay in a jail. I don't fucking know, but her hair is always fucking done. She's always got crayons on her face, and look at her. She's got her little fucking books.
How are you? You ready?
Why is her mouth like that?
Yeah. Are any of my people here? Oh, okay. Hi.
Good to see you.
Hey, such a pleasure.
Have a seat. And
Long time coming, huh?
it has been. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So I want to start with Chad.
Okay.
You told me years ago.
Today is my birthday.
Today is your birthday.
How old do you think that I am?
52.
Oh, how did you know?
I do.
If you don't know who Lori Vallow-Daybell is, I'm going to let you know that she fix my fucking screen. She killed her 2 children. She also was charged with killing, I believe, Chad Daybell's wife, her 3rd husband. This woman has taken out so many people, and I think even like her cousin as well. She was just convicted of that. I don't know, just so much shit. And this is how she acts. Delusion.
You must know a lot.
Yes.
The girls are like, "Are you turning 25 in my pod?" And I was like, "No, I'm turning 25 plus 25 plus 2."
There you go.
Girl, ain't nobody asked if you were turning 25. Ain't nobody fucking asked that.
So
Do the math.
You told me years ago Chad was the best man you've ever met.
Chad is a very kind person, yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
So besides his spirituality, what else attracts you to Chad?
He's a wonderful person. Everyone who knows him knows that. You've never met him, right?
I haven't met him other than when we were in Hawaii.
I'm saying you never met him.
I forgot. Nate Eaton is one of the first people that like ran up to Lori Vallow and was like, "Where are your kids, Lori?" in Hawaii. So he goes way back with this bitch.
Talked to him, interacted with him, or
No.
Yeah.
How often are you able to talk with him?
so we aren't really speaking.
By your own choice or just because it's not allowed from like prison to prison?
Yeah, like the way that the mail works here is
So he's on death row, if you don't know. This shit is fucking crazy. I covered her. She still has a fake wedding ring on. I will link the video where I covered her case. There's layers.
very difficult.
I see.
So we're only allowed to get postcards. Like you can't send a letter to the jail itself, and so there's difficulties within that.
But you still love him,
Absolutely, yeah.
and you've said you'll be exonerated, and he will too.
Absolutely, we will.
Will that be before he's executed?
Yes, Nate.
Damn.
Before he's executed. You're well aware, I know that you are LDS as well as I am, right? And you're well aware that the three Nephites in 3 Nephi 28 were given the death penalty 7 times. They were arrested after Jesus personally translated them, okay? They were arrested, convicted, and given the death penalty 7 times. And where are they today?
I don't know.
Oh my God. I'm personally not LDS, but I can understand probably the frustration that comes with being LDS if this woman is portraying herself or has portrayed herself, she's committed horrible, heinous crimes, and she's still trying to speak the word of God. She's delusional.
No.
They're still wandering the earth.
Yeah.
They didn't get executed.
So
they didn't get the death penalty. And there's 220 people in this country who have been on death row and have been exonerated and gone home.
do you think it'll be soon then?
I think it'll be in the Lord's time. I know that it will be in the Lord's time. And when you say the word soon, if you've ever watched The Chosen or dealt with Jesus at all, you know that soon is a relative term because 1,000 years are a day to him.
So does it bother you, though, that in Chad's trial, he blamed it on you and Alex?
So now that I know the judicial system and now that I have been my own attorney and how things work, and, I've said this before in an interview, it's so different what goes on behind the scenes in a high-profile case. Okay? There's strategies going on, there's defenses going on, there's all these things going on that you wish, why can't we just go in and tell our side of the story? The attorneys are like, you can't do that. We have to come up with the defense, and we have to do this, and we have to do this, and why don't we just go? Why isn't it? You thought, if you've never been in the judicial system, which I hadn't before, you thought they get to tell their side of the story, what they think happened. You get to go in and tell your side of the story of what happened, and then the jury gets to decide. And that's not what happens. That's not what happens at all. And it's so sad and disappointing that's.
I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that she thinks that we're gonna believe that her pod asked if she was turning 25 because there's nothing 25 about her face. She looks like one of those little Shih Tzu dogs. I'm gonna put one up on the screen.
What?
Probably over. No.
What?
Over.
What?
Over.
What?
I'm gonna put one up. She looks like one of those Shih Tzu dogs.
So you
No
think,
way
Chad,
that
they had to
goes.
come up with a defense just to have one in court? You don't think he really believed
We're gonna speed her
or
up,
blamed
too.
all of this on you and Alex?
Absolutely. And I know that for a fact because John Pryor came and told me that prior to trial.
He did. He said, this is going to be our defense.
He said, I'm going to blame you, and Chad doesn't want me to, and he wants you to know that. And this is the kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees, that nobody knows what's going on. There's so much stuff going on that you wouldn't even believe all the things that go on. The experts that are being paid, the things that are going on. We got this expert, we paid him $1 million to say the opposite of whatever your expert's going to say. I'm like, what do you mean they paid him? The state paid an expert $1 million retainer to say whatever the opposite of what our state, what
In
our witness
Arizona or Idaho?
in Idaho was what our witness is going to say. And the attorneys told me this, and I'm like, are you kidding?
You didn't have any witnesses.
We did. In the buildup, we did.
He clocks her so much. We're 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes in. He's clocked her like fucking 15 times.
But then
We absolutely
didn't
did.
call him.
Well, there's reasons for
Again.
that. There's strategies involved. There's things going on, and you have no control when you have attorneys.
And that's
They're
why-
doing it how they want to
And that's
do
why
it.
you wanted to be your own attorney.
There's several reasons. The number one reason was because they wanted me to sit here for 5 years while they got to know the case, and I wanted a speedy trial.
Can we go back to Hawaii? When I first met you and Chad.
And we didn't meet. You just put a microphone in my face.
Okay, when I put
Now
my-
we've met.
We have met, you're right. Why didn't you just tell me where the kid?
Who's she smiling at? Her fucking imaginary fucking friend in the corner? The fuck?
were?
Because I was not ready to talk about it at all at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if I committed such a heinous crime, you couldn't answer where your kids were because you had killed them.
I was just not ready. It was very traumatic, and I was not ready for any of that.
Are you ready to talk now?
I have talked about it already, yeah. I feel like a lot of things have happened in these last 5.5 years to give me strength through that tragedy that happened with my children.
I think after this interview, Lori needs to be cut off from all interviews for the rest of her life. She needs to sit and rot. Honestly, like, let's stop interviewing this fucking crazy lunatic.
And I've been a lot more open in being able to talk about it now, and through therapy also, like some post-traumatic stress therapy, because it's traumatic. And I'm living in here with some beautiful, intelligent, smart women. And had I never come to Arizona, and I know God put me here for a purpose, because I didn't think Arizona was going to come and get me. In fact, I think you and I had a talk about that, because there was an article that came out in Idaho saying that Arizona was not going to come and extradite me until all my appeals were finished. Do you remember that? And I think, and then my
It's
appeals.
like the next day that you were gone.
Yeah, the next day they came and got me. And my appeals attorney was supposed to come. He had an appointment that day when they came to get me to drive down from Boise to Pocatello.
To get me. Girl, calm down.
For us to have a meeting, and they didn't even tell him I was gone. Like, I was just gone that day. They came the next day. So I didn't think they were coming.
You mentioned a tragedy, and you said that this has all been a family tragedy.
Yes.
And it has been a huge tragedy.
Absolutely.
All of this.
Absolutely.
4 juries have said you and Chad and Alex caused the tragedy.
Yeah. That's the judicial system.
But how do you argue with that if all of this evidence came out that showed,
Oh my God.
that you, Chad,
The blinders are fucking unreal. Unreal with this one.
only evidence that ever came out is the evidence state wanted to put forth.
Well,
They
you could
manipulate the evidence to make it look how.
You could tell Lori that her outfit was orange, and she would tell you, no, it's purple. That is just the type of narcissist this woman is.
Whatever they want.
Well, you
And
could
guess who
present
helps
evidence.
them? The media helps them, because from day one, when someone called you, okay, day one, whether it was Detective Hope or Detective Hermes,
And she always has to have control. Always has to have control. Which I really wonder if she was always like that. I don't know what the fuck's going on with her mouth.
I'm not sure, called you and said, hey, Nate Eaton, this is going to be the biggest story of your life. And they got that information from Heather Daybell. And Heather Daybell and Detective Hoper are connected, right? Because their kids got married. And they called and she said, oh, I have a story for you. These people killed their spouses so they could get married, which was totally a rumor,
I don't think that's
totally
true, Lori.
untrue. And then you ran with it and you got famous from it. And everybody knows what happened from there, right? So that's the way it goes. So the media put out their narrative. They kept on with it. The state went along with it. The state leaked stuff to the media to say what they wanted.
What's false about
Oh
the
my
narrative?
God.
I will agree with some things when it comes to media that, like Court TV, for instance, they'll cover cases, Nancy Grace cover cases, and the extravagant narrative on some cases, I'm not going to say every case, but on some cases they're crazy as fuck. But with this one, they were all correct.
Everything.
Your children were found dead in Chad's backyard. That's not wrong.
That's
Tylee was chopped up and burned. That's not wrong.
No, that's all mixed up. That was
What?
I saw photos of JJ wrapped in plastic and duct tape. That wasn't wrong.
okay. I understand what you're saying of those facts. Those facts in and of themselves are wrapped around a whole lot of untruth.
About how they ended up there.
Correct.
So if Tylee killed JJ and then felt bad and committed suicide, how did she die first?
When did she come up with that specific theory about that Tylee killed JJ? Because I'm not sure. I'm not super. I've never been into her case just because there is so much shit to it, and I just don't. I don't know what it is. I just don't fucking. I don't know how to explain it, but I wonder when that happened, because that wasn't. I'm thinking that narrative of hers started to come out years after she had been in jail. She had some time to think about what happened and what would make sense to her in her eyes.
She didn't.
She didn't?
That's part of their whole fake narrative. That's
Who
part.
burned her and chopped her up?
That's part of everything that they were doing. So I don't really want to get into all of those details with you, because you.
Oh, why? She's done quite a bit of talking lately, so, she's going to really have to stick to her stories, and I think that she's starting to shut the fuck up, or realize that she just needs to shut the fuck up. No one fucking believes her.
Obviously are very set in your mind. I'm not here to change people's minds.
I want you to change my mind. I'd love to hear any evidence or facts you have that might make me think, you know what, they have it wrong, but I haven't heard anything otherwise.
That's because you've
And you won't. And you won't. You won't. Because the facts are the facts. She is a murderer.
been pushing this narrative for 5.5 years. You're not telling me that your mind is not set on what it is already?
Minds can change.
They could change
Right.
if they're open to change.
Right.
Okay. So miracles are on the way. And you remember I asked you to watch a movie?
Yes, Evan Almighty.
I did. And did you watch that movie?
I did.
And did you identify yourself with the reporter in that movie?
I don't know if I identified myself with. Did you identify him with me?
Yes, absolutely.
So what does that mean?
Okay. So when did the
Okay.
reporter change his mind?
Remind me.
When he was floating in the flood on the ark. Okay? Not until God showed the miracle did his mind change. His mind was like, this is a crazy guy. He thinks he's like Noah. Why are you so crazy? He's pushing the narrative, right? He pushed the narrative, pushed the narrative, pushed the narrative. And then the flood came. And he's the first one screaming. And he's screaming and he's running for the ark because he had been pushing this narrative the whole time, right? This fake, false narrative that this guy was crazy, that God didn't talk to him, that all these things have happened, right? That these weren't God things that happened, okay? So then he's the first one to get on there screaming. And when he's floating down the river on the flood is when his mind was changed. So when you're open to changing your mind, I will be happy to enlighten you to the
Do it. Fucking do it.
things of God.
Well, I would love to hear what
sure
you
you
have to
would.
say. I wish we
We're
had
here.
more than
I
30
wish we
minutes.
had more time too, because
Okay.
we could really get into it.
A couple of more questions for you, and then I know that you have some things you want to say. The night before Alex died, he told Zulema, I think I'm their fall guy. Was he?
No, absolutely not. And I don't think he ever said that. I watched Zulema go through probably 13, 14, 15 hours of detectives grilling her. I've watched the interviews. I've watched them all. And I watched her be berated by them, threatened by them, that they're going to arrest her, that she had a part in this, that she's a co-conspirator, and all this stuff until they got her to say exactly what they wanted her to say. And she made that up. She made up a lot of stuff. And I felt bad for her because I didn't want her arrested because she wasn't part of any conspiracy, because there wasn't any conspiracy.
Chad,
And
had
I felt
anything to
really
do
bad.
with Alex's death?
No, absolutely not. We were very surprised. No.
What were you and Chad and Alex doing in the storage unit, moving the tire and the seat back and forth on the day that Brandon was shot at and the day after?
So that's so silly that is, so there was stuff in my garage that I was starting to move into the storage unit. That's what we were doing. And so I moved that stuff in there.
The tire on the Jeep?
I moved stuff that had been in there, it was just sitting in there. It had been sitting in there. So
Why is she so angry for? You angry, girl.
I didn't have enough room to park. So I couldn't carry it. It was heavy. So I had Chad help me put it in. And the next day, Alex was like, where's all that stuff in the garage? And I was like, I went and put it in the storage unit. He was like, oh, I need that. So we went and got it. And that was it.
Can you see how, let's say you're not here. Let's say you're at home and you find out about this story and you do all your research. You go through all the court documents. You watch the trial. And you're watching another woman going through exactly what you're going through. Can you see how it sounds kind of crazy what you're saying? Like the fact that this was all a coincidence, or you were just moving stuff in and
Yeah,
out?
because the narrative has trained the people.
But
The
if you
narrative
did
has
your
trained the
own
people.
research,
The narrative has trained the people. I have people come up to me all the time in the jail. I know everything about your case. I've watched everything. And they have every fact wrong.
but aren't you in
So-
isolation? Are you able to talk with other inmates?
Yeah, you have no idea what it's like in there. Okay, I'm in max security. I'm in PC, which I didn't choose to be, but they put me in there for safety reasons.
Tell me what PC means.
So, protection.
Okay.
Yeah, you have
Protective
to-
custody.
Protective custody, yes. And so I'm in a max pod with all the other women that are max. So there's like 8 women in my pod that are facing the death penalty. Okay, we're all in rooms in there, and we are all in there 23 hours a day, and we get 1 hour out a day to take a shower and clean our rooms. And that's how it is in there. But all of our doors have openings so we can talk to each other even through the doors. And so, yeah, so I'm not isolated. But when I am transported to court, like for my 2 trials, right, I'm with the women all day long that don't
She is for my 2 trials. Girl, you say that like it's like a what?
normally see me. So I'm friends with everybody in my pod, but other women will shout out to me that, oh, I know everything about you. I know everything about your story. And they've been so indoctrinated by the media and their narrative that they put out. And nobody was asking me what's happening. Nobody asked Chad
I tried
what was
to.
happening. Well, would you have listened then? You have to.
Absolutely. I wish
You
you
need to be on the boat, Nate. Are you on the boat yet? Because when you're on the boat, Nate, I am going to be happy to share all this stuff with you because miracles are on the way.
I wanted to-
Miracles are on the way. And when you're on the boat, that's why I sent you that last
video.
message. Well, I sent you the last message saying, when you're on the boat, you'll be ready.
So
When you're on the boat.
you say Jesus is your friend.
Absolutely.
Does he support cheating on your spouse?
We weren't cheating.
Does he support killing your husband?
I didn't
You weren't cheating because y'all fucking killed your fucking spouses. The fuck? That just shows even more that you guys had motive.
Kill anybody ever.
Killing your kids?
By the way, she's convicted. So there's no alleged here.
I didn't kill anybody.
Killing
as
your
you know.
boyfriend's wife?
Okay. Was I in Hawaii when Tammy died? How did I kill her? Are you going to explain that to the world now? How did I do that?
Using your kids' money while they're dead?
Okay, all that is messed up too.
How
That's
did,
all
how
lies.
did you how did you rent that unit in Hawaii? With
That's
what
all
money?
lies. Chad rented it. I did not.
Chad
rent
didn't
it.
have any money until Tammy died.
Chad rented it with his own money.
Okay.
Chad was an author and a publisher and had his own company.
So
So that's what I'm saying.
He
You're
made
getting
$30,000 a year.
no, but you're giving up facts that you don't. You're giving up what?
He said Chad makes less than $30,000 a year. How the hell is he renting a place in Hawaii? Hell yeah, Nate. You keep fucking clock that bitch.
Whatever the state put up, they don't put up the whole story, Nate.
And that's-
they just put up tiny pieces to put together their own narrative. That's it. You don't know anything about our lives or how they were or what we were doing in the temple.
Jurors-
What we were doing in the temple every single day.
While you were in the temple, while Tammy was still alive, you were in the temple with Chad.
Several times, yes.
Right. So he's married to Tammy.
Correct. Tammy came to the temple with us too.
The three of you.
At some points, yes.
How many times?
Probably twice.
When is this narrative going to come out? When are you saying the full story is going to come out? Like your side, what really
So
happened?
I'm writing.
Yeah, she's writing all her little fucking lies down. And when she sets those lies in stone, give her about another year to fabricate some more shit. And then, and she'll probably be offered to do another interview.
I'm writing it. And I'm going to write out every single thing from beginning to end so that people can really understand, because you can't understand what happened with Tylee and JJ unless you understand what.
No, none of us can understand that, because who the fuck kills their kids? What are we missing? Lori, please tell us.
Happened to Tylee in her life. You have to know Tylee's whole story from beginning to end. And when you know what happened in Tylee's life, you start to understand. The understanding, the lights click on. But nobody has said that. This lady got up in Idaho. It was 1 year after I had been arrested, and it was going to be Tylee's birthday. And there was a lady in Idaho Falls, and they were having some kind of vigil. It was on the news because I was in a pod by myself at Madison County, right?
I hope that her brain gets studied. I know I was talking recently about a case, and I was like, they better study that motherfucker's brain when they're dead and gone. This one too. They just slice it and inspect that shit. I don't know what y'all do and how y'all do that, but delusion. That's all that's going to be in there. Delusion. Delusional cells. All in the frontal lobe. Impulsivity.
And I'm watching the news, and this lady comes on, and she says, oh, it would have been Tylee's 18th birthday because she died 2 days before her 17th birthday. And then she said, it would have been Tylee's 18th birthday today. And if Tylee were here, she would be out with her friends, and she would be singing and dancing, and she would be doing all these things. And this is a lady who's never met Tylee, never knew her, never knew anything about her life or our life. And I was like, do you know how many of Tylee's birthdays we spent in the hospital with her screaming in pain while she's on morphine, and the morphine isn't enough to take away the pain?
Wait. Are you really blaming this all on Tylee?
No, absolutely.
Yes, of course she is. Of course she is. And she will forever blame her children for murdering them.
Absolutely not. I'm saying Tylee had a really hard life, and people don't
So how does that tie
understand.
into her death and your son's death and Charles being shot and Brandon being shot at and Tammy's death?
Oh man, the ultimate clock. Woo!
All those things connected, right? It's a domino effect. So in 2017, I was told by the Lord that I was going to become like Job and lose everything. Will I do this job if I lose everything? And so this domino effect of things happened. This is all the Lord's doing. And guess what? He's going to come forward and tell it all. And I don't have to. But I'm writing it all down for posterity. I'm writing it all down because you know what he told me? You know what Jesus told me? He said, this is going to be real good scripture reading in the future. So if you go back and you read the scriptures and you find all these stories that were going, what do you think is going to happen? These are the last days, right? We believe that. You believe that, right?
When can I get a copy of this? Because I want to read it.
But you're gonna, the whole world's gonna get to read it. I'm working on it. I work on it every day.
Didn't
Jeff's
you-
like, what are you doing in there all day? I was like, I'm writing, it's coming to me, I'm writing.
When you were on trial in Idaho, didn't you say that Jesus was going to be back before the end of that trial?
Okay, who said I said that?
I'm asking you.
Bruh. What the fuck?
Did you say
No,
that? You
absolutely
never said
not.
that.
I have never.
Oh, she had to just fix that fucking little ponytail.
Chad has never, we've never given a date or a time. The prophet,
July 20, where's July 20th?
somebody made that up and put it on there. I have never said it. Chad has never said it. We've never had a date. We're going with what the prophet says. When President Nelson gets up and says, these are the last days, we need to prepare for the second coming. We need to gather Israel on both sides of the veil. That's what we were doing. That's what we were working on. And we wait for his timing. The Lord has his own timing. He's never early. He's never late.
Why has
His
Chad been
timing is
excommunicated?
great. So I think that was false too. That was mean. That was mean.
To excommunicate him?
Absolutely.
Are you still a member?
As far as I know.
Okay. So, Lori, if you could go back 6 years ago,
Yeah.
June of 2019,
Okay.
would you change anything that's happened over the past 6 years?
Oh, that's a good question, Nate. I don't think I could because
could.
we were foreordained to do this mission, right? The Lord is using Chad and I right now, and this is what he's told us, as instruments in his hands.
Okay, but you don't talk to Chad anymore. Look at those. Wait a second. What the fuck? What the fuck? Those are the lips of lion. The lips of lion right there.
What do you think he's trying to teach the people, especially his people, his church? What do you think he's trying to teach his people right now while he separates the wheat from the tares? He has to have an earthquake. It has to be so detrimental. It has to be get everybody's attention. Our case has done that. And what is he doing with that divide? He calls it, you know what Jesus told me? He calls it the great divide. What do you think he's doing with it?
I don't know, but you've
He's teaching people not to judge. Don't judge something. You weren't there. You don't know what happened. Don't judge. That's what he's doing. And he's separating the wheat from the tares right now in his own house. And he's using Chad and I to do it.
So what if you end up going to Pocatello in a few weeks
Yes.
and spending the next 30 or 40 birthdays
Right.
there behind bars?
That would be God's will, but I'll tell you right now, that's not going to happen.
It's not
It
gonna
is
happen.
not going to be 20 or 30 years. No, it is not going to be 20 or 30 years. I will testify to that right now.
So if it's not, how about we meet every year on your birthday and we do a follow-up interview and you can give me the timeline?
Absolutely. I don't have a timeline other than what the prophet has said. Did you watch this last conference? Did you watch it?
Are you able to watch it in here?
No, but I was
Did
at
you
the
read it?
prison. At the prison, I was able to listen to it because on your tablet you have AM/FM radio, so you can listen to the whole thing. So I got to listen to it the last time before I came. But they did have one. They have one. I think it's a 2023 conference on our tablet here. So I've watched it over and over. But all the prophets, all the apostles, everyone in the LDS church is saying, prepare. Gather Israel on both sides of the veil. I was going to the temple. I went to the temple every day for like 3 years. I was doing all Charles' family's work. I was doing all my family's work. I was gathering Israel on both sides of the veil. And Jesus came there. That's his house. And he talked to me. And he told me that he needed me to do a mission for him. And this is what we're doing. And the media has turned it all
I know Nate had to probably seek a little bit of therapy after this interview.
around. But it was supposed to be. You know, there's always a Judas. And I almost used to think of you as the Judas.
Me? Was I on the dark list?
No, but this is what I'm saying. There's a Judas. People think that Judas is a villain. And Judas is not a villain. You know what Judas was? Judas was a vessel. Judas was a vessel for God's plan to come to fruition. And he told me the other day, it's coming to full fruition.
God did.
Yes. So when we are, just like he told Noah, who was what? Steve Carell in the movie, right? So God came there and talked to Steve Carell. Is that true? In the movie.
Yep.
And the media guy didn't believe him, right? This guy's crazy, right? God didn't talk to him, didn't tell him to do it, didn't tell him to build a boat, buy all those lots, make his wife mad, spend all his money, build a boat because that whole thing was going to get wiped out, right? So God has told me lots of things, and this is one of the things that he told me. He's using us as instruments in his hands to separate the wheat from the tares.
Did you ever
And
think,
people are choosing. Do you know how many people have left the church over our case? Which, what does our case have to do with the church? Nothing.
You make other believers in your specific faith seem insane. Now, somebody like myself, I know nothing about LDS. I don't know anything about the community other than Lori Vallow is tied to that specific religion, and so is Ruby Frank. And they both are pretty fucking terrible people. So I understand that. The fuck?
Nothing to do with the church. We're not against the church.
did you ever think you'd have the title of convicted serial killer?
No, do I?
Well, for people,
I mean, I guess you could technically say that, but everyone in the world knows that I didn't hurt anyone. I've never hurt anyone in my whole entire life.
well, years ago, everybody I've talked to,
Yeah, but you can orchestrate it. You're just as guilty.
friends, family say you were a great mom, so much fun, loved to dance, loved music, loved to travel. You were the light of the party. And here we are in a jail. How did you get from there to here?
God put me here for his purpose. And so you know who he needs? He needs somebody who's the life of the party, somebody who teaches the girls how to work out, somebody who teaches the girls how to have fun and dance. And
Wait. Work out where? Because, girl, you just were holding your arm up and I saw a bunch of flab. Less makeup, more working out.
do all those things in this, the worst jail in the country. He needed somebody to come in to the worst jail in the country and strengthen these women. And I'll tell you what.
You're in there for you're in your cell for 23 hours. You have zero interaction with anybody. I get where she's going with this, but come on now.
Happened. We used to have this wonderful lady, and she used to come in, and she's from mental health. She used to come in on Tuesdays, and she'd be down.
You need to go see that lady some more. Can we go ahead and make you a double? Can we double book an appointment? Because you crazy as fuck.
There, and she's blonde, and she's really cute, and she's really fun. She's bubbly like me. And she would come down, and she'd try to get the girls to work out and give them coping mechanisms and talk to them about stuff like that. And half of the girls didn't like her. They thought she was annoying, and they were waking her up and stuff like that. Because you know why? She wasn't one of them. She wasn't one of them. But you know what I have? I have 7 lifetimes. I have worse
So you're on your
punishments.
7th life now?
No. I'm saying I got 5 life sentences in Idaho.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yes.
I've got another one here and another one here
I was talking
pending.
about the multiple probations.
No, I'm talking about
sentences for.
I'm
for-
sentenced to 7 lifetimes right now, basically.
Why didn't you tell all this to the police?
So
Why didn't you tell them all this when you were arrested? Explain this to them.
Damn.
You know, God's told me to do this. Give your defense.
really, what happens to people when they say God told them to do something? They lock them up.
Well,
I'm locked up.
whatever the reasoning, if you really did think Tylee was responsible for this, why don't you tell the police? She had chronic pancreatitis. JJ had autism. All
right.
of these things.
All of these things.
Why didn't you
She
tell
was
the-
sexually abused by her dad from the time she was 3 years old and forced by family court to go to him for 10 years. You don't think that was hard on her?
I'm
She
sure-
was in the hospital
Right.
all the time. She
Why
had
not tell the
chronic
police
pain.
this? Why not tell the police all this?
At the very beginning, or what are you talking
Whenever.
about?
I don't think you've ever talked to a cop, have you?
You know when I called the cops? I called the cops 2 times in my life. Guess what happened to me? I called the cops when I was pregnant with Colby, and his dad had beat me up, and I had a black eye, and I was thrown down the stairs, and I was 8 months pregnant. You know what they did?
By the way, Colby has a channel on YouTube, and yeah, you should go sub to it. Pretty sure I'm sub to it. Talks a lot about I think most of his content is about his mom, and how crazy she is. But it's good to see some good things come out of this horrific situation.
Nothing. They did not help me. And the second time I called the cops is when Colby was 10 years old. And we were at church, and we came in the car home, and he told me how Joe had molested him, and he didn't want the same thing to happen to Tylee. She was only 3 years old. Okay? I called the cops, and guess what I did? I called them and I said, hey, this stuff happened. I don't know what to do. They said, we don't care. Call the county where it happened.
They're never going to tell you that they don't care. I've had a homeless woman like doing crazy shit in front of our house, acting insane, threatening my life, shit like that, right? Called the cops, and they're like, could I tell they didn't really give a shit? Yeah. But they're not going to say they don't give a shit. They're going to be like, instead of saying that, they're going to say, we'll send somebody out soon. Is this a good callback number? Would you like to meet with the officer? And then no one comes out.
So I called that county, and I told them the whole story. Like, my son just came to me. He's 10 years old. This happened, blah, blah, blah. They said, we don't care. Call the county where the perpetrator is living. So I called that county, and I said, this is what happened. And nobody would talk to us. And then the county finally called me back where it had happened, where we had lived previously. And they said, okay, come in tomorrow, bring the kids in, and we'll forensically interview them. Okay? So we did all that. I did everything that the cops asked me to do. And then when I was in there, they said, after they met with Colby, they interviewed him for 45 minutes, they interviewed Tylee, they came out, they said, Colby met all the criteria we use to prosecute, and we're going to prosecute him, and we're going to keep your kids safe. And then they did nothing. And Joe hired a criminal attorney, and they did nothing. And he never got indicted, and nobody ever even looked him in the eye and said, did you rape your children? And for 10 years, the judge told me that if I didn't take Tylee to him every other weekend and 30 days in the summer and every Thursday night, that she would put me in jail. If I was late for one visitation of dropping her off at a dad who was raping her in the middle of the night, that I would be put in jail if I didn't abide by that.
Did you have anything to do with Joe's death?
No.
Did
Joe-
Alex?
No. We didn't even know. We were living in Hawaii. We had come back. Tylee was forced to go to him for 10 years by the courts, hated it, came home and cried, screamed, kicked, hit Colby, hit Cole, hit Zach, scratched him, yelled, threw things through the walls, was a nightmare, had night terrors, never slept at night. Tylee never went to sleep before 3 o'clock in the morning. She's 5 years old. She can't go to sleep. I have to stay in bed with her till 3 o'clock in the morning, rubbing her back because she can't sleep because bad people wake you up in the middle of the night to do bad things to you, mommy. And so Tylee was a nightmare. Charles thought she was a brat. I didn't discipline her. Then I was in the hospital with her, watching her scream and writhe in pain while she's on morphine because it doesn't work.
I've interviewed several jurors. You may have seen the interviews.
I haven't seen any juror interviews, none. I have no access. I'm in here 23 hours a day. I'm in max security. We don't have access to anything.
Well,
so I haven't seen anything for a year and a half since I've been over here.
They've said they were disappointed that they wanted to hear from you, that you didn't have a defense, especially in Idaho.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If I get up on the stand and Trina Kay's sitting there, or what's her name? And they're saying,
Lindsay,
are they going to let me tell Tylee's story on the stand? You know they're not. They're going to object every 2 seconds.
If it's relevant to the case.
I'm writing it out. No, they won't, because they don't want me to tell that story because it's opposite of their narrative. It crushes their narrative. It crumbles their narrative. It's never going to be what it is.
As a defense attorney,
Yeah.
you present your defense. So you would have witnesses that would come in and would testify to the things you're saying and would give
I
evidence
love it,
to
Nate.
that.
You're just as naive as I was, and I love it. Because guess what? I found out as a defense attorney. This is what happened with Judge Boreski. This is what happened. They don't let you put on a defense. Do you know how many motions I had on, or not motions, do you know how many exhibits I had on to get ready for us to present our case for the first trial?
How many?
We had 33 exhibits. We put them up there. Trina Kay went up there. She gets to look at all your exhibits, right? This is how it works in law. She gets to look and see what all.
Tell us how it works in law. Please, Lori Vallow. Please. Oh my God, I wouldn't even be able to fathom watching this as an attorney.
Our things are what we're putting up. Guess what I had? I had about 5 interviews with one of the cops who said, I have to get Lori on something. I have to find something to charge her with. I have him saying this on video.
Which cops?
Okay, Detective Moffat. Guess what happens? So I have 4 of those are my exhibits. I'm waiting for Detective Moffat to get on the stand. The state says they're going to put on Detective Moffat. Guess who they don't put on at all?
You can call them.
Moffat. They go around you, and then the judge didn't let me put in.
You can call, even if they don't call. I'm pretty sure that you can do that.
One exhibit, not one.
What if you had
he didn't let me put one exhibit on.
What if
not
you had
one.
waived your right to a trial, though, and given your legal team another year or so to go through all of that? Don't you think that would have helped your case?
No, not at all. Because guess what my team said? They said he wouldn't have let us put it on either. There's so many
wanted
jobs,
to have
so much
control.
political aspiration going on behind the scenes in a high-profile case. There is no way in heaven that they were going to let me get up there and win as a pro per client. Because you know what? It's like a virus in here. Do you know these girls that are treated so bad by their defense teams that are making $1.5 million a year while they sit here for 8 years, 10 years?
Yeah, and guess what? They make 1.5 million. They're not fucking killing their kids. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand her logic. I know that this woman is completely fucking asinine, but like, what do you mean? They make the defense makes 1.5 million. Okay, well, they're doing their fucking jobs. No one made these women or you or the other inmates make poor choices that led you to be where you're at. The fuck?
Waiting to go to trial. There's girls in here that have been in here for 10 years. Do you know what happens when you have a toothache in this jail? They pull out your teeth.
Guess what? None of that be happening if you didn't kill your fucking kids. 1 + 1 = 2. Duh.
So tell me how it's not prejudicial for you to go into trial with 5 of your teeth missing and you look like a homeless person and the jury's there judging you, right? And because you've been sitting in a jail that doesn't have any dental for you for 8 years waiting to go to trial.
You expect to be able to kill 4 people, 2 being your own children, and go to prison and have great dental care. If that doesn't show you the level of insanity that this woman is at, I don't know what else will.
The virus, were you really sick?
Oh, I was so sick. Yeah, I really was sick.
You weren't putting it on a little bit in the wheelchair?
Not at all.
Putting your head on the table in the courtroom? You were really feeling sick.
I never saw any of that. Like I said, I'm not really fucking into her. She pisses me off so much.
Sick.
I tried so hard not to throw up in court. And Jeff can attest. So Jeff had the same virus I had. We had been working till like 8 o'clock at night getting ready for trial. The next day, when I went Thursday, he calls in sick. He's sick in bed, can't lift his head, he's throwing up. Okay. Friday at trial, we were picking a jury. I threw up at lunch and told the judge, I was like, oh no, I must have the same thing Jeff had. Jeff missed my whole trial because he was sick for 10 days in bed. Was so sick. I've been incarcerated for 5.5 years. I've only ever been sick one other time, and that was like a really severe headache that I thought may have been COVID or something for like 10 days. I've never been this sick. And you don't have any access to anything. Like, you don't have access to medicine or food or anything that you need. I was so sick. I had an infection. I had to get on antibiotics. And the medical here is ridiculously horrible. They did a test on me. We're supposed to give me antibiotics. They didn't give it to me for a week. And it started until a week later than I should have.
Boo fucking who? One of your you had one of your children chopped up and burned to death. Let that fucking sink in. You want to sit and complain about dental and medical fucking care? Fuck off.
Do you feel bad about anything that's happened? Do you have any remorse?
No.
Any apology? Anything?
Bad about anything that's a really broad
It
question.
is a broad question. About the past 6 years. Any? Do you feel bad about
Do I have bad?
Her turning her head and laughing and trying to seek validation from whoever is over there, camera crew people, I don't fucking know. It's crazy.
Feelings about anyone?
Not
Or
bad feelings. Do you personally feel bad or feel some remorse for the victims in these cases?
none of the people are victims. So
Are you the victim? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
I'm not saying I'm a victim at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm an instrument in God's hands. The victims that you call victims are not victims. Tammy died of natural causes.
coroner disagreed with that. The coroner
Which
said-
coroner are you talking about? The one the state put on?
Brenda died, the
Okay.
coroner,
Okay.
who said she was asphyxiated. So aren't her kids victims?
Okay, no. Do her kids feel like they're victims? No, they don't. They understand the truth. But let me
What
tell you
about her
something.
siblings?
Let me tell you something about Brenda Dye for a second. Let's go back to that because you said the coroner, and that is not even a true
She
statement.
originally ordered it as natural causes. You're right.
Oh, thank you, Nate. A fact, a
then
true fact.
Then they
Okay.
exhumed her body the day before Alex died, which
Okay.
looks suspicious with Alex's death. They exhumed her body, and they said no, she had the marks.
Did you hear what you just said?
What?
Looks suspicious. Who exhumed her? Why did they exhume her when she had a natural death?
So you're saying
Why did they exhume her when she had a natural death? What was the
Because she was tied to a bunch of other really fucking weird shit by you and your fucking husband.
explanation for exhuming her when she had a natural death from the coroner? The coroner said it. Why?
because you and Chad were under investigation, and they thought that you all might have killed her.
Why? Because of Heather Daybell and what she said at the very beginning and called you up to say? That's
Heather-
exactly where you're getting
Heather
it.
Daybell
That's
did
where
not
you're
call me.
getting
Heather
it.
Daybell-
I didn't say she called you. She called you through
I didn't
Detective
talk to
Hope.
Detective Hope at all.
Did you talk to Hermosillo?
I don't remember talking to Hermosillo. The tip I got when you were in Hawaii was from none of those people.
It was before we went to Hawaii. It's before you went to Hawaii. How'd you get a tip
We-
before you showed up in
we-
Hawaii?
we-
You obviously had a tip before you
We
showed up
found
in
out
Hawaii.
about this case
Yeah.
when the police sent out a news release. And then somebody random, I still to this day don't know, and I swear to you, to this day, we got a Facebook message from an anonymous account with a GPS location of where you and Chad were. I
Someone
swear to
did
you.
no, you were in an interview with someone. I did see a tiny little piece of an interview. I think you had Hermosillo and someone in an interview, and they were saying, didn't someone call you up and say, this is going to be the biggest story of your life, Nate Eaton?
Oh, a police detective did tell me that, yeah. But it's not.
Who was it?
It's not the people that you named. It's a source. So
You're not
back-
going to tell me your source, but you know everything about me,
back
but
to
you're
the
not going to
question.
tell me your
You don't feel bad. You're saying none of these people are victims.
I feel
Kay and
bad,
Larry
of
aren't
course.
victims. Brandon's not a victim.
No. No. I'm not saying that people haven't had hard things happen to them in their life. Everyone has hard things happen to them in their life, right? The judicial system plays up the victim thing pretty big, right? We've seen it happen. The people who lost their children, I lost my children. I lost them.
But people,
Killed
because
them.
of what you did.
What did I do to them?
You arranged with Alex to conspire to kill them.
No, I did not.
And
Absolutely
Chad.
not. Absolutely
Did you
not.
know that they were in Chad's backyard? Or
Absolutely
did
not.
I?
No, I did not know that. I did not know where they were. Alex told me that he was put them in a safe place. That's what he
So
told me.
did you find out at the court at the first trial? Is that the first time you'd seen those autopsy photos?
Yeah, I hadn't ever seen them. I never looked at them before that. Because that's not how I picture my children. I know where they are in heaven. I know what they're doing. They have come to visit me. So I don't see them as bones. If anybody dies and you go to a cemetery and you dig them up 9 months later, you're not going to like what you find. It's not going to be
They're not
pretty.
going to look like that, Lori. They're not going to
I'm
look
saying
like Tylee.
anybody isn't going to look like that. I'm saying once your spirit leaves your body and goes to heaven, okay? Because I died, right? When I was giving birth to Tylee, I died. And my spirit left my body. And guess what happened? When you're out of your body and you're your real self and your eternal self and who you are, you could care less what happens to your body. I've had that experience. Chad's had that experience. There's others that have had that experience. So the body dies. Everyone's dying, right? We're all going to die. Our bodies are all going to go back to the earth where they were from, and we carry on, we move on. So my children are in their eternity. They're doing well. They're happy. They're moving on. They don't want me to be sad. They came to me because they don't want me to be sad. They said, Mom, you didn't do anything wrong.
I've got one last question for you.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that say I shouldn't have interviewed you. Well, they don't know I've interviewed you, but they say that you don't deserve a platform because of what you've done, what you've been found guilty of. Do they have a point?
In this unfair judicial system, anybody could be found guilty of anything. And I would say to the people, I would say, be careful who you're judging, because anybody could end up in orange. You could be living your little life in the suburban bubble like I was, and anybody could end up in orange. Anybody, because they can turn this on anybody. There's women in here, beautiful, smart, intelligent women that have had their children die, and they're family tragedies, and they're not crimes. And the state has turned them into crimes, and they're not crimes. And what I got accused of and convicted of, just like the 3 Nephites, what crime did they commit that they got 7 death penalties for? What crime did they commit that they got 7 death penalties for? I'm in good company. I'm in good company, and in heaven I will be in their company. And I didn't do anything that deserves this kind of punishment. But God did want me here. He did want me in here with these women. And he wanted me to lift and strengthen women and uplift them in these family tragedies. There's women in here that have suffered the same things I have. They've been here for years, waiting to go to trial. They haven't even gone to trial yet. But it's an unfair system, and they probably will get convicted. And then we'll see each other at the prison, and we'll uplift each other there until Jesus comes. And when he comes, he's going to set everybody in the prisons free. And all those who are unjustly and wrongfully convicted, like me and like these others, we will be walking free on this earth, and we will be walking with Jesus, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay, I have 15 cards, but I'm getting the wrap. So thank you, Lori, for chatting with me, and maybe we can chat again.
Maybe we can
another time.
do it again sometime.
Oh God, please
Thank you.
don't.
Happy birthday. See ya.
Send the witch out.
Amen. Can I have it? Amen? No? Are you guys going to meet me? Here you go.
What a psychopath. My word. Holy shit. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I got to record another one after this. So getting on it. If you like this kind of content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't. I'm going to try to start incorporating some reaction videos when it comes to interviews with criminals along the lines of true crime stuff. So if you like that, make sure you show me that. Okay. All right. Hit that like button. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.